Okay, thanks everybody. Good afternoon. This is the cataloguing session, so please check your boarding passes. If it doesn't say cataloguing, the reference session is in the Target Theatre, which is immediately behind us. No? And I won't be offended if you all walk out now, or at least somebody walks out now. This is intended to be an interactive session, and with that in mind, we will be stopping for discussion and questions several times during the presentation, and we regard interjections positively in this session. So particularly after lunch, if you guys aren't talking to us, then we're going to start to get a bit worried. I should introduce myself. My name's Rob Walls. I'm the Director of Database Services at the National Library for Libraries Australia, and I'm joined by Bemal Rajapatirana, who is the Manager of the National Bibliographic Database. We have 50 minutes to fill and only about 6 slides, so you can tell from that there is some expectation for input from you folks. What I'd like to do first, though, is just give you a really quick review of the developments with the cataloguing service over the past 12 months or so. And they're listed there on the slides. I'm not going to go into any detail at all. There's more background on these developments in the annual report, the Libraries Australia annual report, which is available on the website. I'm not sure whether it was in the information that you picked up this morning, but certainly it's available on our website. So I'll just raise and mention these things now as a launching point if anybody has any questions about any of them. So the first thing first development that we did was about November of last year. We implemented an upgrade to the cataloguing software, which, as you're probably all aware, is the CBS software supplied by OCLC in Leiden in the Netherlands. The main development in CBS 3.2 was the implementation for the first time through the cataloguing client, in fact through any of the cataloguing clients we've had in Libraries Australia or its predecessor services. We were able to provide access to external databases for searching and copy cataloguing for the first time, so access to OCLC, National Library of New Zealand's Te Puna database, to Library of Congress, and also to a number of databases which particularly focused on Chinese, Japanese and Korean script cataloguing. Another big milestone this year has been the loading of the National Bibliographic Database records into WorldCat. That was completed in March of this year. We loaded somewhere, I think, around 16.9 million records. Not all of the records in the NBD, but virtually all of them. There were a few records in the NBD that we actually purchased from various suppliers, and our license agreement with those suppliers doesn't allow us to distribute them to other databases. It's something I think that probably all of us who are purchasing MARC records from somebody, or you folks are doing it, and we're certainly doing it. It's worth bearing in mind when you're signing a contract to buy a data set from somebody, or if you're buying an electronic product from somebody that comes with a MARC record or data set, to consider your ability to provide that data to organisations or to databases like Libraries Australia when you're actually purchasing it. Excuse me. Also with WorldCat, we've just recently sent a gap load of data to WorldCat, and that's with them at the moment and should be loaded over the coming weeks. And later in the year or early next year, we'll be moving to have hopefully close to real-time updating of WorldCat when records are updated in Libraries Australia. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about the next upgrade to the cataloguing service. And we've also had an expert advisory group with representatives from amongst the users of Libraries Australia, and that advisory group has advised on the support for institution-specific data in Libraries Australia. And again, the report of the EAG is on the website, but to put it in a nutshell, and you may have seen this already, the recommendation was that we should support institution-specific data and flag it using subfield $5, and that we should support institution-specific data, I should say institution-specific bibliographic data in bibliographic records. We should support it to the extent that it's supported in Mark 21. So we're not pushing the envelope, but we should support it fully to that extent. The EAG also recommended that we should support the Mark 21 holdings format, and the National Library has certainly accepted those recommendations, and we'll be looking to schedule development of support for that. Probably it won't be next year, but hopefully not too long thereafter. It will be picked up in the Single Business Development Project, which is, as you're probably aware, is going to redevelop a number of National Library services, including the Libraries Australia Search Service. And lastly, I'd like to mention the NBD coverage survey and to thank everybody who participated in that. The survey closed on the 10th of October, and 215 libraries responded to the survey. Most of them were already Libraries Australia users, but some weren't. And it's impossible to give you a summary of the survey in the time we have available, but there will be reports coming out on the results of the survey. But particularly important to us is that part of the primary focus of the survey is that we identify library collections, and particularly special or formed collections, or electronic collections, or microform collections which aren't already recorded in the NBD, and that as a result of the information that we've gathered through the survey, we'll be able to talk to libraries who have those collections and see if we can't improve the coverage of those resources in the NBD. At this point, I'll hand over to Bemal, who will tell you in some more detail about 2 or 3 of the other developments that have occurred over the past 12 months or that are currently underway.
I get to start off with my favourite topic, deduplication. Rob mentioned that last year we put in and upgrade the 3.2 software, and one of the reasons that upgrade was so critical was that it held a few very important missing keys in terms of configuring software that was bought from OCLC Leiden, now OCLC EMEA, to remove duplicates that are already on the NBD. We call this software, it's DDR, and it's not the former Democratic Republic of Germany, it's the Duplicate Detection and Resolution software. So it was very exciting to finally be able to configure that software and make it run on our database. We were testing earlier in the year, and our first production runs, we've done 2 so far, and they've removed 21,000 duplicate records. I know in the grand scheme of things that's probably not a lot, but we do plan to do more. The software that it can be configured, and so far we've configured it to search for duplicate monograph records, and the match key that we're using is the Library of Congress control number. The records that are matched are compared on a range of other data elements to determine their similarity. So the matching works and the merging works fairly similarly to the offline loading, the upline loading through record import service. There are some differences.